Baseball, obviously, we want to get into that. The game tonight was canceled against Houston, which kind of sucks because I really wanted to see Houston play in those baby blue uniforms.
I know. They look awesome.
That's one thing I was looking forward to today. I was like,
they look so awesome, don't they?
But the good news is, for those who don't understand how RPI works, if they would have played that game and won or lost, their RPI would have gone down, which is the dumbest thing on the planet. I still don't get it. I mean, it's very damaging for teams like near the postseason because it's like, oh, you beat, no name 14-5, but you were 35 in the RPI. Now you're 57. Sorry. You better go win your SEC games. I'm like, okay, whatever. Anyways, this team is back in the postseason conversation officially. Basically, coming off of their sweep against Texas, which you and I both talked about briefly last week, of saying, look, they got swept, but you can take good things from every game, right? You can take starting pitching was fantastic. Both Ryan Prager and Justin Lampkin were great on the mound. Weston Moss, who we did find out was sick, dealing with some issues, had a very bad showing, probably his worst of his career, where he just was not ready to go. Obviously gave up a couple runs in that final game, which they lost which they lost in Game 3 on that Saturday or Sunday, I forget. But we went into the week basically thinking, okay, you got to do the math now, right? They need 13 wins in SEC play to make it back to the postseason. Everybody was saying that. Kendall Rogers of D1 Baseball was the main guy saying that. Like, look, if you get 13 wins based on who you've beaten in conference play, you're probably a shoo-in as a 3 or possibly 2 seed. Well, we were doing the math, and LSU, who came to town last weekend, ranked number 2, one of the best teams in the country. A lot of people were saying they're probably going to be the number 2 overall national seed, right below Texas in the NCAA tournament. It looked like a very tough task, right? And after A&M gets swept, you're kind of like, where's their mindset? That's what we focused on last week. Where's this team's mindset? Well, obviously they were unfettered, and that pitching staff was not bothered because you went into a doubleheader on Saturday because of bad weather that Friday. And they just, I'm going to be honest, like, Prager had his best outing all season. He went 7 innings, gave up 1 run. It was a solo home run from LSU's best hitter, which, look, that happens. But at the same time, I remember I actually caught the end of that game because of I was actually moving that weekend, as you know. And I was kind of looking back, and I was like, okay, it's 1-1. Started watching it. I was like, okay, they're in a good position, right? They can, if they can get a couple hits and just get 1 run in. They ended up winning 3-1 off of a drop ball because of the wind, which was, I think it was Terrence Keel's RBI. And it's pretty fortuitous, but again, a win is a win. You got number 1. Okay, you just need 1, right? You just need 1 against LSU.
Just 1.
Yeah. You go into Saturday night. Obviously, it's a doubleheader. Anthony Ianson, LSU's pitcher.
My goodness.
I'm actually watching my dad.
I need to stop attending these games. I went to the second game. Thankfully, I was handed a ticket on a silver platter. I went to this, and to be honest, I said, I am doing no good here because
the Aggies today curse too. Yeah, right.
It's probably me with baseball because oh my goodness, Anthony Ianson. I think it's Ianson. He only allowing 3 hits and striking out 14 Aggie batters is insanity.
I'm going to be honest. That's what I was going to get to, because I don't think you're bad luck. I think just when you have pitching performances like that, because I was sitting there. I mean, look, baseball is my favorite sport personally. I love the game. And so when I see performances like that, I can't not just be like, congratulations. Like, that was dominant. And I think A&M was the same way. They were mad. Yeah. But at the same time, like, look, you're probably not going to see that tomorrow, right? Because LSU, we knew their starting pitching lineup was kind of like good, very good, and then one of the best closers.
Exactly.
Which we're going to get to that now. So A&M lost game 2, 2-1. Obviously, kind of a heartbreaker because they had chances in that game to get guys across. They were stranding runners again. We go into Sunday's finale, and I'm going to be honest. one of the best games I've seen, and one of the games that I believe could be a turning point for this team if they do make the tournament. Because we had been talking about, and I personally have been talking about the lack of clutch hitting in gotta-have-it situations. Like, that's the thing. I don't care what you do throughout the game. I don't care if you're, striking out. And we can get to Jace Levelette. Obviously, he's been, he's struck out. I think now the percentage is almost 22% of his at-bats. It's been pretty bad this season. But again, TexAg said it, right? I didn't say it. I actually went the other way with an article I wrote with his reasons, and that's the great thing about this media sphere. We can disagree.
Yeah.
I believe it was either Billy Lucci or somebody else who on TexAg's Live basically said, well, if you got to have it situations, Jace Levelette and Caden Sorrell are your guys. Ironically, that's what happened. I said Ben Royo and Caden Sorrell, and to be honest, Ben Royo was a big part of that too. He's been excellent. He's been one of their best players. But you are down, I believe it's 4-2, correct?
I believe, we went into the middle of the fourth, I believe, down 2-0 by like a double from Hernandez, and then
it was an RBI by Terrence Keel, and there was a solo home run by Caden Kent.
It was like a pair of walks for Royo, Cat, and then Keel hit a single, I believe, in that sense.
So I think we're 4-2 going into the sixth. And that's when Jace Levelette, who I think he was over throughout the game, got that infield single to third. I mean, and again, if you want to know, I actually wrote about this today. Like, Jace Levelette is still projected as a top 10 pick in the MLB draft. Like, a lot of people are looking at his average going, well, he's only hitting 276 now, and he's been striking out. Well, that play right there, outrunning the throw. Again, he hit a dribbler to third base. And that 6-6, all that frame, outran that throw. And I was even watching him going, okay, there's a reason every scout in America going, the strikeouts don't bother me as much because he can do that. And if he gets his groove back, he's the most powerful hitter in the country right now.
I'll tell you what, I mean, if Elko's looking for a big-bodied wide receiver, I think we know where to go.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest. Remember the LeBron James thing throughout my entire teenagehood of LeBron James could play in the NFL. Maybe Jason Levelette the same way. He scored Gavin Cash from third, who actually Gavin Cash, another guy, did very well in that game, kind of showed up when he has really showed up most of the season. Been out of the lineup due to injury, came back. Obviously, him and Blake Binderup has been trading starts at first. He actually got a hit. He got to third base. Jace Levelette, with I believe 2 outs, got him home, making it 4-3. And you're kind of sitting there, and I'm like, they've been so bad today. And their best LSU brought in their best closer. Goodbye, Jay Johnson. Very smart move going, look, they're not going to hit our guy. They haven't been able to hit most of our guys, so they're not going to hit our best guy. Well, again, when you have Caden Sorrell up there, who, in my opinion, I think a lot of people's opinion, is probably the number 1 pick in that 26 draft. This guy is the most clutch hitter on the team. He did not have a good weekend. That's the thing.
No,
he had a bad weekend, but Caden Sorrell had a horrible weekend too. We just maybe didn't give it a lot of thought because he was so good against even Texas. He kept them in those games for the most part, and he's been good throughout his return. But him and I believe Carter Carroll's did the math on that. I think they were like 2 for 22.
Yep.
Going into that.
2 for 21 or 2 for 22 over the weekend is.
Yeah. Oh. And again, Jace Levelette gets that RBI. Caden Sorrell walks up the plate, waits on his pitch, and absolutely destroys. I believe it's an inside fastball, which I don't know why he was throwing that.
Inside fastball.
Destroyed it. I mean, I was sitting there, I'm going, that's a home run. That's a home run. I was like, it can't be because this is A&M and it's going to drop and then it's going to go, 3 outs. Okay.
At first, I did think that there was a chance it would just drop, but it was gone.
It was gone. And I loved I loved the various broadcasts. I think it was Andrew Monaco who did the best for it. He was like, Caden Sorrell, it's gone. And I mean, you could just tell it was kind of drifting. You saw the LSU outfielders and the image of I'm losing the name of their closer right now. The image of him watching that ball go, it's like, dude, it's like I had to throw that ball to that guy, 6'3", Weston Moss, again, that's why I waited to the end of this to mention him, was absolutely, just balling out throughout the end of that game, throughout the last 2 frames. He was finally healthy. Head coach Mike Early gets a lot of credit for that because he had Prager for 7 innings, brought Moss in for, I think, maybe an inning in game 1, took him out immediately, knowing that he probably needed him for the final game. And there you go. That's what you get. That's how you win. And you're not going to get clutch hits like that every game from Caden Sorrell at that moment. But at the same time, that's the type of situation that I think this is why if A&M can sweep Missouri this weekend, maybe get a win against Georgia, I don't know if they're going to need it. You get in the postseason as a 2 or possibly 3 seed. If I'm any other team, especially the number 1 seed in that regional, do I want to play this A&M team who, to be honest, is more talented than you, who has momentum, who has experience? And these guys were in the College World Series finals last season, pretty much all of them. You got guys like Wyatt Hensler, who will be as hungry as ever to get there and prove himself. And if this is just my opinion, if Lavalette is struggling like this right now, do we think it's going to continue in the postseason? I don't know. Because I'd actually, if I was an A&M fan or anybody else, I actually like that he's struggling now, because maybe it's just going to flip on a dime once they get to the postseason and he's going to get back to form. And if that's the case, we're talking about a College World Series team. We really are, because we were not even close to that 2 weeks ago. But you see the strategy on the mound. They know what they have in their starters, and you're getting a lot from Miles Patton as well. He didn't have his best game because he did allow 4 runs, but at the same time, could have been worse, right? He gave you valuable innings, and if you're getting that from your starters, you have a weapon like Weston Moss and Cade McCoy. Yeah, got a lot of my names in my head. Again, excellent. That is a freshman. That is somebody who kind of saved you in a couple innings in game 2. Obviously, they didn't win the game. But if you're getting that as well, combined with the guys you have in your batting lineup, why can't A&M make a run? I'm going to be honest. You just need to get to the postseason. That's all. And look, Missouri, I think, I just did the standings today. I think they're 0-24 in SEC.
They have not won a game.
They haven't won a game. I don't know if I've seen an SEC team do that in a couple of years. I remember when Ole Miss, who actually won the College World Series that year, was very bad in SEC play. This is historically bad. I'm going to be honest. If A&M even loses a game in this series, it's embarrassing. I think you should just dominate these guys, and you know that you should be scoring a lot of runs on that pitching staff, which is going to set you up in a good position going to the postseason.
Yeah, so looking forward for this weekend against Missouri, and it sucks that we didn't get the game against Houston today, but Missouri this weekend. I really think this is the series where you really want to see the bats get hot. It's almost a must see for this team to start getting these bats hot and see what you actually are able to do with. Frankly, you really do want to see the Laviolette flip on its head. You want to see that, especially now that he's leading off. And then Caden Sorrell, I want to go back to. I mean, he was stellar, but you really don't want to see a loss against any of at all in these games against Missouri. I have a couple of words jumbled in my mouth, but. Because going off from the Missouri hopeful wins, right? We want to see those wins. Going into Georgia, who is a tough, very, very tough SEC team to play against. I mean, we saw it last year. They were tough to play against, and they kind of have used that from previous years going into this one as well. I mean, people have seen, projected 2 seed, projected 3 seed, finally off of the bubble, we'll say, of those teams. But you really do want to see these bats get hot going into this weekend and then further on, because it'll just show this team, okay, our pitching, we know exactly what we're getting with it now. We love the lineups that we have. We know exactly what we're getting from that. Let's see what we can get off of these bats.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's what I mean. You look at, I think, the entire problem this season, because we all knew. And yes, look, We can have our discussions with Caleb Longley, their hitting coach, if he could return next season, if he's the reason why they're so inconsistent. But look, I'm going to be honest. When it comes to momentum in the postseason, I just kind of hate how they kind of compare and contrast and say, look, if you're playing this well now, it's probably going to continue because hitting is hitting, and if you're hitting now, you're probably going to hit later. That's not true. We have seen that with every team this season. We saw that with LSU this weekend. They were as bad as A&M was. Okay, and to be honest, they've been one of the better offensive teams. They're nearly a 40-win team this season, like Arkansas is, who outside of one game on the road against Arkansas, who I think A&M's the only SC team to beat them at home and win a series at home this season.
Yep.
I'm going to be honest, they pretty much dominated them on the mound. And you did that with a rotation now that outside of your starters in Prager, Lampkin, and Patton, you've got guys like Caden Wilson. Obviously, Weston Moss is your main reliever. But Caden Wilson has played very well. He's been very reliable. Obviously, Caden McCoy, who's a freshman, who is giving you valuable innings, he's kind of getting that feel for coming to ugly situations and getting him out of them. I think really his only bad pitch this season so far was the home run he allowed against Texas. I'm going to be honest, that stuff happens. But you've kind of solidified that bench of knowing I can rely on these guys enough, right? They're not like total disasters like we saw with a couple of the younger fresh corn, for example, who just isn't ready, right? He's not ready to be relied on. But again, that was the biggest problem for A&M this season. We knew what they had in terms of their offense. It's just you got to put it together consistently. And then if you can do that, like you said, if you can explode against Missouri and then you can make a dent against Georgia and look the part, you're already in. You're in the tournament.
You're in it. Yeah.
You're in, and you're probably going to get, I think D1 Baseball's latest projection was in the Arizona regional, which I'm going to be honest, if I was any of those teams in that, and I think Cal Poly, who actually beat A&M at the beginning of the season, look, I don't want to play A&M. Like I said, they're going to put them in a regional where no team there wants to play the Aggies. Like
exactly.
And that's going to be teams like Mississippi State, Kentucky, if they can get in. Nobody wants to play these teams because they're SEC teams who were in the best conference where everybody has eaten each other alive all season outside of Texas. But again, those Longhorns, who we were hurt here in national championship, looked absolutely disgusting against Arkansas, who dominated them in every aspect. And I'm going to be honest, I was one of the people who said, look, I don't know if Texas is going to be a national champion this year, because I'm going to be honest, I've seen a lot of teams do what they've done and not look the part in the postseason and kind of, I'm not going to say the term I was going to say. This is a family show, but
we're PG here. We're PG.
Yeah. Look, whatever. But I respect them. They beat A&M, but I think they kind of put all their marbles into that series and really just all the passion and everything. And then you lay something out like that against Arkansas. That's baseball. That's my point.
It is baseball. And I will say this year, I've seen a lot of teams over their, conference plays. I've seen a lot of teams already look the part where they want to contend for the College World Series. And honestly, I do think this year there were probably more teams than there were last year who were actual contenders for it. But maybe that's just me. But from what I've seen so far, I mean, the Arkansas, even LSU that we just played. I mean, you want to see those type of teams in the College World Series, regardless of if your team's in it or not. I just think I've seen a lot more teams this year look the part rather than just say that they're the part, right?
Yeah. I agree. It's about entertainment at the end of the day. Like, you're rooting for your team, you want your team to go far, but at the same time, it's a product. You want the best teams in there, and I think that's why the baseball standings, the SEC baseball standings, are kind of hilarious because A&M is third to last with the bottom dwellers, and then you got Missouri just looking ugly as all get out down there. But again, they're third to last. They're 14th out of 16 teams, but they're most likely going to the NCAA tournament because
exactly
the records are what they are. Teams get hot late or they're hot early, and then they kind of crop the bed late. It's just how it is. And then if they can get in, that's all that matters. The same as the basketball tournament. Get in, see what happens.